Very good morning to all. So today I am going to discuss the fourth unit topics of advanced electronic systems. Here some of the topics. So in fourth unit, so I am just going to briefly explain about its function and its basic concepts regarding those topics, right? So the topics are about analog and digital signals. Then you have Boolean algebra, okay. Then you have basic gates and universal gates. Followed by you have K-map, Karnaugh map, okay. Next you have adders, subtractors. Then you have flip-flops. So all these concepts are an integral part in electronics. Okay, very soon in the next semester, in detail you study about all this. Okay, these are, I can say, building blocks of any electronic systems. These are the integral part. Okay, so here we'll see some introduction part. Okay, what exactly meant by these devices, where it can place its role in the system, right? So coming to the first topic, that is about signals, analog and digital signal. You know how important that signal is, you might have heard that, okay? In any communication system, so if you want to transfer any information from one point to another, okay, or source to destination, if you want to convey or transfer any information, okay, so we'll use the signals, right? So it means basically the need for signaling is whatever the information that is generated from the information source, okay, so that information you need to represent it in the form of signals. Actually signal can travel. You might have heard that, okay, always the communication, radio communication is through electromagnetic waves, I mean electromagnetic signals. It means some signals you must use, that itself will carry your information. Now the point is how you are representing that information. You have many more signals. So we'll classify broadly as analog and digital, right? So finally we'll see some couple of advantage and disadvantage associated with these two things. So then what do you mean by analog and digital? It's very simple, okay. In analog signal, we call normally it as continuous in nature. It means what? The signal have an infinite values. Normally we'll represent it with the sinusoidal signal. It is some function, sine function, cosine function. If you look at that signal, okay, you have a two axis, x-axis and y-axis, right? So along the x-axis, for every instant of time, if there is an amplitude, okay, then it is analog signal. Normally it looks like this. We call this as an analog signal. Digital will represent like this. Only a limited set of amplitude levels. But here you can check it. There is infinite values. Right? So what I mean to say is, based on the x-axis and y-axis, I can define my signal. And one more thing is, you have a discrete and continuous signal. Right? Discrete and continuous. Continuous means an infinite values. Discrete means only limited. Okay? Coming to the analog or a digital, it is based on the y-axis. Okay? Y-axis, I mean the amplitude will represent normally. That will tell you whether the given signal is analog or digital. If you check the x-axis, it will tell you whether it is a discrete form or continuous form. Combinedly we can decide what type of signal it is. Here there is some example here. Which signal it is? Just check the x-axis, you will come to know whether it is discrete or continuous. Okay, this one, this is your x-axis, always it is a time axis. For every time instant, you can take any time. Okay, for every interval of time, there exists a certain amplitude. The signal is present, right? You can check it. This is continuous. For every instant of time along the x-axis, you will find certain signal. I mean amplitude, signal amplitude. Okay, so this is what continuous analog signal. Okay, it is continuous. Why? Because along the x-axis for every interval of time there is a signal, right? And again this is analog because there is infinite amplitude levels. If you take some interval, there is so many values for every instant. So it is continuous analog signal. This is one type of signal. Okay, for every information we need to represent it with the help of some signal. I mean analog or a digital, continuous or discrete. Okay, this is continuous analog, right? What about this? Here also same. Check the x-axis. See, at this instant there is some amplitude, but in between this there is no amplitude. Okay, so for that interval signal is not represented. Okay, so again it is represented here. Again in between there is no representation of amplitude, so it is discrete. But whether it is analog or digital, if it is discrete, don't say straight away that it is digital. No, actually we'll decide it by the amplitude levels along y-axis. Check it now. Here you have certain amplitude, here you have certain amplitude, again there is some different amplitude. So the amplitude is varying widely. Okay, so continuously amplitude is varying. If you take certain interval, time interval, see here there is so many amplitude levels. There are infinite, you can say there is infinite amplitude levels. So this is not the characteristics of digital signal, it is the characteristics of analog signal. Why? Because in any given interval, if the amplitude levels are infinite, if it is continuously varying, okay, then that signal we can call it as analog. But if you look at the x-axis, the signal is not represented at certain intervals, so it is discrete analog signal. It is discrete analog signal, right? Next, you have one more signal. Check it, what kind of signal it is. The characteristics are quite different, right? First check the x-axis. So we'll come to know whether it is continuous or discrete. Here along the x-axis, if certain amplitude is present for every interval of time, every instant of time, then you can straight away call it as continuous. If amplitude levels or signal is represented only at certain levels, okay, only at limited levels, you can call it as digital. Discrete. Okay, check it now. At this certain amplitude is there. Until here some amplitude is represented. Again here some amplitude is represented. Again here some amplitude is represented. Okay, so for every instant of time there is a signal. So it is a continuous signal. Remember, there is a continuous signal. But analog or digital, check the y-axis. See here, here the amplitude level is 2, here the amplitude level is, okay, it's 1, if you come here it is -1. So the entire span of time the amplitude is varying a little. Sometimes it goes to 2 volts, sometimes 1 volt, -1. Okay, somewhere in this range it is, if you just check the entire interval. Right? So this will tell you certain characteristics of the signal, that is a digital signal. Okay, so in the digital the representation is such a way that the signal or the information will be represented with a limited set of values. That's what you might have heard about that. The digital we are representing with the help of zeros and 1. 0 and 1. Right? But analog signal is continuous in nature. In the computer, we are using digital signal. Whatever the signal that travel in any electronic circuit board, especially in computer motherboard, it is a digital. So there the information always travel in the form of ones and zeros. If you want to represent it, the signal seems to be very simple. Sometimes the amplitude level is 1, sometimes it is 0, that's all. The entire stream of bits will be represented with that only. Right? So here the amplitude levels are limited. It is after all varying between 1, -1, 2 like that. So there are a limited set of values, so it is a digital. This is digital. Since amplitude is present along the entire axis, it is continuous digital. Continuous digital signal. What about this last one? You can straight away decide. Again check the amplitude levels. Here it is 1 volt roughly, both are same. Okay. Here it 2 volts if I represent like that, and this it is -1. Again the amplitude levels are varying from -1, 1, 2. Limited set of amplitudes. You can claim it as digital. Check the x-axis. Is the amplitude is present along the axis everywhere? No. Here there is no representation. Here there is no representation. Right? So it is a discrete digital. It is discrete digital. So these are the very important type of signals, because for everywhere in communications system a source must be there. It must produce some information. So to take that information to some other place, you have to use the signals. So you can use any one among this type of signals. Based on the type of the source, we need to choose it. Right? Some sources will be analog in nature. See, that's human communication wise, it's always analog in nature. Okay, that's what the best example for analog signal is FM broadcasting. Okay, your radio, FM broadcasting, that is, will use analog signals. Right? In a computer system, so all the time the information is moving in the form of digital. And if you want to read some information from any disk, it is a digital. Right? If you take a temperature sensor, okay, it is analog device. All the time it is giving you some temperature. It is continuous in nature. So it is analog. So based on the type of the source, we'll use analog or a digital. Right? Okay. This is all about signals. Any doubts? Any doubts? You can easily identify also. We can differentiate some of the advantages of analog system. Do you know anyone? Analog systems. Old television systems, a very big bulky kind of a television having a CRT tube inside, cathode ray tube. So that is analog device. But nowadays you have a very slim high definition television systems are available. That's all because of invention of digital. And similarly, if you take some other systems like all PSTN communication system, that is analog in nature, and many more digital systems, okay, we are using. So whatever the cell phone we are using, it is of digital type. Right? So how we can bifurcate is like analog systems are very bulky. I mean, to process the analog signal, whatever the circuit will use, it is complex. If it is complex, obviously it is expensive. We need to invest more. If it is expensive and it is very complex, the amount of energy it takes is also more, energy consumption is more. Okay, if so much of complexity, signal can travel little bit slower, so the response from such system is very slow. This is all some disadvantages of analog system. Exactly opposite digital, a very simple circuit, will use IC. Okay, a very simple system taking less amount of energy because circuit seems to be very simple, and response time is very fast. Response, the moment you apply some inputs, it will immediately give you the output. Okay, that is why we are just turning towards digital. Okay, right. Next I will move to the next topic, that is Boolean algebra. See, in Boolean algebra, it deals with respect to the digital systems, where we'll define some of the Boolean identities. Some Boolean identities, De Morgan's theorem. Okay, so using those identities, we can simplify the system design. What I mean to say is, in any system, okay, its behavior, I mean, if I apply some inputs, it will give some response based on its functionality. That entire function, okay, I can express in the form of logical expressions, right? Suppose if you have any one system, suppose for this system I have two switches, you can call switch 1, switch 2, and this is my output, and I will give it to LED. Some system I have, it is containing or having two switches, and it is an output device connected to some LED, and I will define the characteristics of this device, and it has to behave like this. How? If any one of the switch is on, output of the light should be on, LED. If any one of the switch is on. If both the switches are on, output should be off. If both the switches are off, output should be off. Only condition is if the two switches are opposite to each other. If they are differ, then output should be 1, otherwise not. This is how my system should work. How will you design? Very simple. Whatever the problem statement I said, okay, you can express it in the form of logical expression. How we can define? I can straight away directly write that expression. Y is equal to what? SW1, SW2 bar, SW2, SW1 bar. Output is said to be 1, otherwise 0. It's a function of XOR gate. If you look at the truth table of XOR, right? You have studied the gates. So in the truth table, if 0 1 combination, output is 1, 1 0 combination, output is 1. When both are 0, 0. When both are 1 1, output is 0. Okay. So if you use an XOR gate, I can implement that function. Normally we'll use dual switches, no? If the first floor room is there, okay. So while going up at the downstairs, we'll put up a switch, two-way switch. So light will be on. Again after going there, I will put one more switch, light will be off. A single light will be controlled by two switches. If any one is on, it will be on, like that. So every system functionality we can implement with the help of logical expression. That logical expression, if it is simple, circuit is simple. If expression is big, circuit is also very complex. So the Boolean algebra will help you to convert the complex circuits into a simple circuits. If you have a bigger expression, so using Boolean algebra, we can convert that bigger expression into a simple expression. So with that expression, if you implement the circuit, it is very simple. That is the reason before I said, so most of the digital circuits are very simple, having very less energy consumption. Why? Because we have a provisions like this. Okay. I will just write some Boolean identities. Okay. Right. Okay. These are Boolean postulates or Boolean identities we'll use in Boolean algebra. Okay, along with De Morgan's theorem. This. Okay. So there is no proof required. You can just put up some value and you will come to know that a into 1 is equal to a I have written. Why? A is a variable. Okay, it can take the value either 0 or 1. Because I am dealing with digital, the representation is only with the two limited sets of values. Suppose if you take a as 0, 0 into 1, 0 only. It means the same a value is reflecting. If you take a as 1, 1 into 1, output is 1. So it means every time whatever the value of a, the same thing is reflecting. So I am writing a. Okay. So like that for all identities you can check it. Okay, coming to this. A plus a bar I have written as 1. Okay. If a is 0, obviously a bar is 1. Okay. So 0 plus 1, output is 1. Okay. If a is 1, a bar is 0. Again 1 plus 0, 1. Irrespective of whatever may be the value of a, output it maintains the logic 1 all the time. That's what I have written like this. Okay. So you need to remember these identities all the time. There is no proof for this. You can just put up some value, you will come to know these identities. Got this? So this is a Boolean identities help you to minimize the logical expressions. Again, what do you mean by logical expression? Any system, okay, its a characteristic I can represent it in the form of logical equation. Right? We can represent its behavior, we can represent in logical expression. So by simplifying that expression, in turn we can make the circuit simple. For that, this identity will help you. We'll take one small example, okay, how the things, these identities have an impact on that. Okay. Okay. This is one logical expression. certain function it performs. Okay. This is the output variable f, and these are all input variables. How many variables? A, B, C and D. Okay, might be that particular system is having a 4 inputs. This is how we can decide number of inputs and output. These are the inputs. If you straight away want to implement this with the logical gates, because for digital implementation we have to go for logical gates only. They are the main building blocks. If analog system, we could have go for transistor and diodes. For a digital, logic gates are the integral part. If you go for a implementation, you need certain requirements. I mean, the gates are needs to be used. Here, this is one function AB bar. Which gate is required? AB bar. Which gate? AND gate. A ANDed with B bar. Again, how to get B bar? B has to be crossed through NOT gate. So for a simple implementation of this, I need 2 gates, AND and a NOT. Similarly, what about this? One AND gate. What about this? Again, one AND gate, 2 NOT gates, A bar and B bar. Okay. Next, you have a logical OR and logical OR. So nearly around 7 or 8 gates are needed to implement this logic. Okay, if you straight away go for implementation with this given expression, you need 8 gates. All you have to put up and rig up, then it can give you the response according to this. Now what I will do, with the help of Boolean identities, I can convert this expression into one more form, simplified form. Okay, do it. What I will do, A, B bar, just multiply within this bracket, it is C. Next, A, B bar, BD. This plus as it is, A bar, B bar into C. Now we can check, is there any possibility of making it simple? A, B bar, C, we cannot do anything. Here B bar, B or B, B bar. What is the value of that? You have an identity. A into A bar is 0. A into A bar is 0. So B into B bar is 0. Okay. So A, B bar, C plus the entire term has gone. This is A bar, B bar. Next, multiply with C. Again A, B bar, C into C plus A bar, B bar, C. Again check it here. C into C is C only. So it is A, B bar, C plus A bar, B bar, C. Is there any possibility of making it simple? Check it. Yes, B bar, C, we can take common. B bar, C, A plus A bar. What is the value of A plus A bar? It is 1. You can check it. You have one such identity, right? A plus A bar always give 1. So what is the final expression? B bar C. A very simple single expression. So I need only 2 gates now, one NOT gate, one AND gate. To get the B bar I need NOT gate, to get B bar C I need AND gate. Okay, before we need 8. But just by applying Boolean postulate, now it is converted into a single or a hardly 2 gates. So this is what the importance of Boolean algebra in digital design. Got this? Okay. Any doubts? You must remember those identities. They are very useful. Okay. Next part is about logic gates and universal gates. You know what I mean by gates? As I said, if you want to implement any digital circuit, we must use gates, logical gates. Okay. Apart from that, you have some other components, digital components, but they are the very integral part, main basic part. How many gates are there? How many gates? You have some basic gates, okay, and or not, okay, and you have a XOR, XNOR, NAND, NOR. These are all the logical gates. You have already studied the gates, so we will not go in detail about that. You know the truth table of that gate also. Okay, so I can directly write the expression. What is the expression for NOT? It is A bar. What is the expression of OR gate? It is A plus B. For AND gate it is AB. Okay. Next for NAND it is AB bar. For NOR it is AB bar. For XOR it is A bar B plus AB bar. Okay. Directly I have written the expressions. You can easily form the truth table. Truth table is having number of inputs, number of outputs. For so and so input, what will be the output? You can construct the truth table. You can just take it as homework and you can just do it for all gates. Okay. With the help of this expression, I can do that. Substitute the values either 1 or 0, right? You can try to get that truth table. Okay. So these are some of the basic gates, and you have some more gates. We call it as universal gates. What do you mean by universal gates? Universal gates. How many universal gates are there? There are two universal gates. What are those? NAND and NOR. Okay. NAND and NOR we are calling these two gates as universal gates. So it's very simple. Why we are calling it as universal means you can just define any logical function. Okay, I can implement with the help of these two gates alone. Okay, if any function you define, I can implement with the alone NAND gates or with the alone NAND gates. Okay, but the same thing is not possible with some other gates. You have a complications. But the characteristics of these gates are in such a way that I can just implement any function with alone these two gates. That's what we are calling it as an universal gates. Right? We'll see some simple example how we can do that. The same procedure applies for any other systems. You can try it with, take some example and you can try it. This is a very important part, okay, because normally if you want to design any prototype, sometimes you must go for some logical expression, then you must go for implementation part. That time if you use a single alone gate, okay, things seems to be very simple. Otherwise you have to collect so many resources. Okay, instead of that, take one particular type of gate and you can do all the things, right? Now what I will do, I can just choose the XOR function. XOR function I can implement with alone NAND gate or with alone NOR gates. See, the procedure is very simple. If you want to implement, suppose with the NAND gate, What I will do is, you can just take the double complement of this. Whatever the expression is given, just put 2 bars, double complement. Why? Because both the complement will be get cancel and your expression, it is as it is. So those 2 bars will doesn't make any difference. Don't put 1, you must put 2. Then only expression, it will retain as its original form. Right? Take the double bar. Now follow the De Morgan's theorem. See, De Morgan's 2 identities are very much important. You must remember all the time. AB whole bar is A bar plus B bar. A plus B whole bar is A bar dot B bar. Right? That replicates in most of the cases. So try to remember those. I will do the same thing here. I will just use the De Morgan's theorem. Say it is something like this is one variable and this is one variable plus bar. It is something like A plus B whole bar. How will you divide? A bar dot B bar. Do it. What I do, top bar I will keep as it is. So this A bar B, I will divide this 1 bar. This plus becomes dot. Next AB bar, 1 more bar. Right? This bar, now it is divided. And this OR function becomes a product now. And this bar you keep as it is. Now check that expression. I can implement with a NAND gate, no? NAND gate function is what? If we have a 2 inputs, A and B, output is AB bar. AB bar. It means it will ANDed these 2 variables and you put a bar on that. That is what is the function of NAND. Check it now. This is one variable, this is one more variable. It is logically ANDed product and bar. Similarly, 2 variables, there is a product and this is a bar. So the entire expressions I can implement with the NAND gates. See the final expression also. Here it is a product bar. One more gate. Okay. Now without doing any much calculation or analyzing, straight away I can put up the circuit. Okay. How we can do it? I will just do this now. I need A bar. Take a single input NAND. This is A. Here we will get A bar. Next I need a B. Take B. NAND gates. The output is what? A bar B. Whole bar. Right? It means the entire thing I have did it here. Similarly this AB bar. Take A. This is B bar. So AB bar is ready along with the complement. So this entire expression is over. Now what I have to do? This one and this one you have to logically AND put a complement. It is something like one more NAND. Because NAND always perform AND operation and complement. This is the simple implementation of XOR gate with a couple of 5 NAND gates. Okay. In fact, I can implement with a 4 gate also. Okay. So that is, again you need to understand or analyze many more things. So as of now you understand this. Okay. This is what XOR implementation with the help of NAND gate. Right. So hardly 5 gates are required. Now there is no complexity. Suppose if you want to do it with the basic gates, you need OR gate, you need AND gate, you need a NOT gate. So variety of gates are required. So different components you need to choose it. For every component you must apply some power or energy. So that is unnecessarily you are making it more complicated. Okay, so energy consumption is more, speed is less, and all that. Okay, if you make it simple, you will have many more advantages, and ultimately the circuit seems to be very compact, very miniature in size. That's also very important, no? Right? Nowadays we are attracting towards miniature devices. All electronic systems are very slim, okay, portable, handy, like that. Because many more function we are just implementing in a small chip, and the chip itself is performing everything. So the entire device size becomes very small. But whereas if you look at the previous things, they are very, very bulky. No one is ready to use such kind of devices. Got this? You might have seen that the radio system, what we hear, the radio broadcasting. Okay. So previously it was a very bigger size radio. Now it's available in your cell phone. Just you need to select it, you can start receiving those broadcasted signals. Right? So that is all about invention of digital. Okay. This is NAND implementation. You want me to explain the NOR also, or will you try? Okay. NOR gate. I will not implement, but I will tell you how to do that. See, it is A bar B plus AB bar. If you want to do it with a NOR, I will just do some small trial here with the expression. A bar B, I can explain this expression like this also. Right now? If you just multiply this, A into A bar is 0. A into B bar, AB bar, I mean this expression. AB bar I got. B into A bar, I mean A bar B. A bar B. Okay. Next, B into B bar is 0. So instead of representing like this, I can represent like this also. Both the forms are give you the same meaning. Okay, the representation is different, but its function remains same. If you written like this, now you can just put up a double complement, this one, right? How it look like? A plus B whole bar, De Morgan's theorem. This product becomes sum. Next, A bar plus B bar whole bar. Okay. Next, one more bar. Right? Okay. Now check it. NOR implementation. Output of NOR gate is always A plus B whole bar. It will add the two inputs and it will complement it. This is one NOR gate is required. Two input variables. It will logically OR it with complement. One NOR gate. What about this? Again A bar plus B bar. A bar and B bar are the two inputs. Okay, you can just make A into A bar with the help of a single NOR gate. A bar, B bar logically OR complement. One more NOR. 3 gates are required here. 1 gate is required here. 4. Next, logically OR and complement. OR and a complement. So it is one more gate. Again 5 gates are required. Got this? You try this. Here also we need 5 NOR gates to implement that XOR function. Like that, any function you can implement with the help of alone NAND or alone NOR gates. Okay? Next part is about K maps, Karnaugh map. Okay. K map or a Karnaugh map. Again in detail this you will study it in your upcoming semester in the digital electronics subject. I will just brief out what exactly I mean by K-map. See, K-map is an graphical method to simplify your logical expression, right? How important that simplification process is, you all know that. That ultimately making my entire system very efficient. That is the reason simplification is the most vital step, right? That's what you have many more approaches. So this before you have seen Boolean identities. By applying that, we can reduce its complexity. Next, K-map or a Karnaugh map is one more method. Like that, you have some more methods are also available. We'll study all that in the upcoming semester, but we'll see a very important part, one more, that is the K-map, Karnaugh map. Here what I will do, I don't have any some calculation, some equation, something like that. It's a graphical approach, right? So you will prepare one number of cells, okay, square boxes, right? Then we'll just combine some logical ones and zeros, and directly we can write the expression, right? So the K-map is, we'll draw the number of cells, right? So the number of cells is depends on the variables. The number of cells are 2 to the power of n, okay? So where n is number of variables, right? So if the number of variables are 2, then you have a 4 cells, right? Like this. If we have n is 3, then we have 8 cells, okay? This one. Right? If number of variable is 1, then only 2 cells. Okay. Similarly, if the number of variables are 4, then you have 16 cells. Like that, based on the inputs, in any expression, we can straight away come to know how many inputs are there. You have seen this before, one expression having 4 inputs, okay. All distinguished variables you can count, unique variables. So if the variables are 4, then totally you have a 2 raised to 4, 16 cells, okay, like this. These are all representation of K-map. Once you draw the number of cells, your job is not enough. Next part is you have to fill those cells. What we need to fill it? We have to fill those cells either with 1 or a 0, based on the truth table values. Truth table values. Okay. Suppose I have a truth table like this. Okay. I have a truth table and I have a system having 3 inputs. And some outputs. Certain system, when I am just writing a truth table, it looks like this, suppose, having 3 inputs, 1 output. So when all the 3 inputs are 0, output is 0. When my input conditions are like this, 0, 0, 1, output should be 1. Again, when 0, 1, 0 pattern is there, it is 0. Okay, this is what the behavior of my system. The same thing I am representing in the form of some table, that's a truth table. Now, straight away if I want to implement with the logical gates, As I already discussed, it requires so many gates, so many different gates. Okay, so how will you come to know how many gates are required? Because the logical expression, if you want to write it, how to write? You have two ways of writing a logical expression. One is with the min terms, we call it as a minimum terms. One with the max terms. They are the two representations. So the min terms are the one, normally we'll write it with respect to the condition where the output variable is 1. See here, this is a truth table. Here the output variable is 1. With respect to that, I will just generate one equation, that is a min term. Right? Suppose if you are writing any expression with respect to the output variable where it is 0, then it is a max term. Two representation, the way how you represent also differs. Okay, I will just show you how to represent the min terms. This one, since it is 0, you must represent a bar. Since it is 0, then it is b bar. Since it is 1, it is c. So expression is a bar, b bar, c. A bar, b bar, c. Similarly here, a bar, b, c. Next, a, b bar, c. Finally, a, b, c. So the output expression for this is a bar, b bar, c plus a bar, b, c plus a, b bar, c plus a, b, c. This is how we will define the functionality of system with the help of logical expression. Okay? With the help of this only we will implement with the gates. Now actually the output expression is like this with the help of min terms. Okay? We will see the max terms later. Right? This. Now if you want to implement, I need 1, 2, 3, 3 OR gates, some 4 AND gates, couple of NOT gates. Okay, but if you simplify it with the help of K-map, we'll see this time. Okay, so expression still it reduces. I need a very simple gate. Okay, right. Now what I will do, instead of going for Boolean identities, I will simplify with the help of K-map. So since the variables are 3, 2 to the power of 3, it is 8. So that particular design you need to select, template, this one. Right? Here, now this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. When you make the cells and you have to identify the cells in such a way that okay, each cell has to be differed by 1 bit, adjacent cells. This cell and this cell are adjacent, they are differed by 1 bit, you can check. 0 and 0 same, 0 and 1, it is differing by 1. Similarly here, 0 and 1, it is differed by 1 bit, 1 and 1 remains same. Vertically you can check, this is 0 and this is 1. These two cells are differed by 1 bit. Okay. So adjacent cells should be differed by 1 bit. This is the rule for the K-map. Okay, like that you have many other rules, we will see it. The implement of that particular expression with the help of K-map, okay, we will see in the next class, right, because it will take time. So now the number of cells are 8 and you have to represent each cell with the logical ones or a min terms. Your min terms are getting ready here. So a bar, b bar, c. So this 0 means a bar, b bar, c. So this is 1. Next a bar, b, c. A bar, b, c, 1. A, b bar, c. This is a, b bar, c means 0, 1. Here. This a, b, c. This. The remaining cells you have to represent with zeros. This is what locating ones and zeros in the K-map. This is the second step. Put the number of cells, identify the min terms. All the min terms you locate with logic 1, rest all with logic 0. We'll see the next step, okay, in the next class. Got this? Any doubts? Again, we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you. Okay, I will just go with the next step. Once you locate logic 1s and 0s in the K map, then you have to do the grouping. And you have to do the grouping in such a way that, okay, you can group two adjacent cells. Two adjacent cells, or else you can group four adjacent cells, or else you can group 8 adjacent cells. If 16 is possible, you can group it. But thing is, they should be adjacent with each other. And moreover, the adjacent cell should be differed by 1 bit. Right? If you group two logic 1s which are adjacent, then we call it as a pair. If you group 4 logical 1s, okay, if you group it, we'll call it as a quad. If you group 8 logical 1s which are adjacent, we call it as octet. Right? So like that, here couple of 1s and 0s are there. Adjacent means side by side. Side by side. So this one and this one is side by side. This one and this one is side by side. Again this. So this all 4 ones are side by side and they are adjacent. Okay, and they are fulfilling the rule of differed by 1 bit. Check it. This and this are differed by 1 bit. This and this is differed by 1 bit. Like that. Right? Now it is eligible for group.